Hey everybody, I'm back. So when I left off last time, I had my instance renderer, or I guess it's just the textured mesh renderer, but rendering instances, and it's working okay at first, and you can see the monkey heads, those are all rendering instance style. But when I walk and it updates the terrain, the monkey heads disappear. But the weird thing is, when I go to debug mode, they come back. But they come back at a different spot. So that is weird. Not what is supposed to happen. So let's figure out why that would be. Alright, so first of all, so when I press the B key, I switch from, if I'm in debug mode, I go to game mode or playing mode. If I'm in anything else, I'll go to debug mode. But here, I'm telling it to reinitialize the game state, which I don't want to do. I think I was doing that previously for debugging or something. But if I take that out, okay, so here I'm playing the game. So they still disappear, but then when I press B, I'm in debug mode. So it doesn't reset the whole game, which is fine. But yeah, now the monkey heads are gone for good, which is probably a good thing, because that was confusing me, and the fact that I was reinitializing the game state there solves all those issues. So I can get rid of that. I don't think I need that anymore. But now I need to figure out why when this happens, and I believe last time, if I comment out this update terrain, no, I had to take that back. If I comment out update textured mesh vertices and run it again, they stay this time. Of course, the texture of the terrain messes up, and the terrain itself doesn't get updated, but the vertices, I mean the instance meshes themselves, stay. So that leads me to believe that the problem is here, somewhere in this function here. So I'm going to look through this really carefully and see if I can't figure out. So that's good. And then you want to increase it by the vertex buffer offset, which is in bytes. This is in floats, so you want to divide it by the size of a float, which makes sense. And then vert float size, this is how many floats are in this. And this is in bytes, so you want to take that. No, you want to divide it. Just like I'm doing here. Hey, there we go. Yeah, so I can update the terrain. Let me go again. So every time this number here, the length, gets above 32, it updates the terrain to a new position. And I just gotta put this back where it was. There we go. So every time it gets above 32, the terrain updates and the monkey heads should stay where they are, because those are just being rendered in the same position. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just had a dumb mistake where I was multiplying by the size of a float rather than dividing. But now that that's fixed, that should be good. And that should fix the issue on my laptop as well. So that's good. That's a good sign. Oh, that's relieving. I thought I was going to spend all night just trying to fix that one thing. I don't know what to do now. Let me look at my to-do list. So that was... Now this is not really finished. This is kind of, I just a proof of concept at most at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that from a feature. Just I kind of just wanted to get a lay of understanding how DirectX does instance rendering, and now I feel like I have that pretty solid, so I can delete that from there. And let me see, what else can I do? That's gonna be more involved. I'm gonna save that for a later time. Same with that. These two I don't really care about at the moment. What kind of bugs do I got? Make text and canvas positioning scale with window. I don't know if I meant what that sounds like. Because if I resize my window here, so let's just drag that bigger. The text in the top left corner, it automatically resizes. I think what I meant was I want to be able to specify the canvas items by not pixels position, not screen position based in pixels, but screen position based in probably like percentage. So that way, regardless of whatever the screen resolution is, I can place the items consistently. So if I make a larger screen resolution, the canvas items will still take up just as much screen space. I don't know if that's making sense. It makes sense in my head. Um, I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is worded poorly, because it's already doing that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up to a feature and say make canvas items. I don't know what to put. There you go. So set canvas item position and scale by screen percentage. That makes more sense. And then handle updating resolution on window resize. I don't know. Again, I think that's worded differently than what I meant. What I want to happen is because right now the window itself is 16 by 9 resolution or aspect ratio, and the buffer that the game is being rendered on is the same, 16 by 9. But if the window were to change and not be 16 by 9 anymore, the game changes with the window. So the game is no longer 16 by 9 as well. But what I want is the game itself to stay in that same aspect ratio, 16 by 9, regardless of what size the window is. So I want to do that thing like movies do, where they put the black boxes on the top or bottom sides to fit the aspect ratio to the window, to the monitor or whatever. Yeah. So let's see. So let me reword this here. I'm gonna rename this to keep constant aspect ratio. I'm gonna say constant game aspect ratio on window resize. There we go. And then that's superficial. In fact, yeah, I'm gonna try to do this now, actually. In fact, let me try something here. I already have in the game state window dimension. Oh, game resolution. Here we go. So game resolution. So it's just getting set here to 850 by 400. Okay, I'm gonna take that out for now. Take that out of there. This is what I'm gonna do. This is all tentative. I'm gonna say static U32. I'm gonna say default resolution width. I'm gonna set that equal to 800. So default resolution height will be 450, so I get that 16 by 9 aspect ratio. And then here, I'm going to say the aspect ratio is equal to default resolution with, oh no, this is sorry. Default resolution width divided by default resolution height, and I need to cast these. And just make this static, just so it's like its friends there. So, yeah. So somewhere down here, where I'm initializing the game and everything, swap chain descriptor. So the swap chain here, somewhere it contains the information of the width and height of the buffer of the resolution. I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm going to, at least for now, make this global. I feel like I might need this in other methods or functions later. So let me put this here. Okay, so that's there. So let me look at this descriptor here. It's got a buffer descriptor. So this has the width and height, which I'm not really setting here. So buffer. So what if I did this? If I said swap chain descriptor dot buffer descriptor dot, there it is, width, and I set it to default resolution width, and I do the same thing for the height. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, now I get the game with the same window size, but at a smaller resolution. That's, yeah, that's what I was looking for. So let me just to make this really dumb, let's say I actually make 16 by 9. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That is how you make video games. Look at that. I am rendering a 3D game on something with less resolution than an Atari. Okay, so let's do something a little bit more serious. Let's do 160 by 90. This would be maybe somewhat resembling a game. Okay, yeah, there we go. Alright, this is fun. What's 16 times 2? 32. So let's do 320 by 180. Okay, it's getting there. Yeah, there we go. Cool, so now I can make the game as crappy as I want it to be. Look at that. Look at all that Z fighting right there. Cool. All right. That's well, I'm glad that's working. So let me put this back to what it was, 800 by 450. Okay, so now what I want to do is when I resize the window, I want to keep, whoops, I didn't recompile that. Yeah, okay. So now when I resize the window, I want to keep the same aspect ratio. I don't want to stretch the image too much, or at all for that matter. And so I think really all I need to do, if it's like OpenGL, is I need to change this viewport here. Before I do that, so there's a window event that happens when you change the size. I want to say it's just WM size. Like logic tells me that WM size would be exactly what I need for this case. This message is sent to a window after its size has changed. Sweet. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is the presumably how you get the new width and height. So let's do it. Let's try it. Let's try it here. So case WM size break it down now. All right, so in the event that we resize the window, we want window height to now equal lowered lparam. And we want window, no wait, sorry, I had that backwards. Window width, right? Yes. Height is the high word of lparam. Alright, so half window width is now the whatever the current window width is times 0.5. There we go. Now half window height is the current window height times 0.5. Oh, don't we need to update something in the game state? Yeah, the game state's window dimensions need to be updated as well. Okay, so once I do that, and then I also need to recalculate the screen size. I really need to just repeat this. Yeah, let me see what happens when I resize the window now. I just want to see if the mouse and everything still works. Alright, so let me move that up here. And yeah, seems all good. Let me just try this again. And yeah, of course it's a little janky when the mouse first enters the window, but that's kind of to be expected. Cool. Yeah, I think that's good so far. So now I just need to fix the aspect ratio, which was this part. Aki. No. Aki. There we go. Alright, so we make the viewport. We're going to set the viewport, the depth, and the thing that's going to stay the same. How do I do this now? Let me pull this up in Paint here. Okay, so if we get a wide but short window, that means it's wider than our aspect ratio. So if it's wider than or equal to our aspect ratio, then what we want is we want our game to be perfectly centered in the middle here with black bars on the left and right. So let me figure this out here. So let me do an if statement that says if window width divided by window height is greater than or equal to our aspect ratio, we want to do one thing, otherwise we're going to do something else. So let's consider this case first. If this is what we want, oh, and you know what, if it's, I think it's like, I don't know. I guess I'll find out, but I'm going to suspect that it's going to be in units based on the back buffer, on the render buffer, because, so I'm setting the buffer to 800 by 450. That is happening here. but I make the window with window width and window height, which is larger than this. So when it makes the viewport, when I'm saying window width and window height, it's stretching the pixels. It's making more, it's making one pixel take up, how do I explain this? It's making one virtual pixel take up more than one physical pixel. So there's like this ratio that I have to consider. I don't know. It's probably not making any sense to anybody watching this, but it's making perfect sense in my brain. So it's helping me really kind of figure out what's going on here. So what I need to do, so that's not gonna hold up. I'll keep that there. But I need to actually calculate some kind of like ratio here. So let me do this. F32x. I'll call it x rat for x ratio, and that is the, let me say, F32 default resolution width divided by the current window width. Right, so if it's the same, like if the default resolution is the same as current, that'll be 1 and then everything's fine. But if it's larger, then this will be a number less than 1. So we're going to shrink things down. But if it's smaller, we're going to make it bigger. It's making perfect sense in my head here. Let's do the same for the Y. So window height, screen resolution height, and we will call this Y rat. Alright, so in the event that the window width is divided by the window height is greater than the aspect ratio, then I want the height to equal the window height, but the window height multiplied by the Y ratio, Y rat. And then so the window width will be that, well actually it'll be, so the window width will be then window height times the aspect ratio. And then that will be times x rat, x ratio. So now I need to calculate, actually, let me come back to that. Let me figure out, okay, so now in the other case, so let's say now the other extreme, the window is taller than it is skinny. I want to keep the same aspect ratio. So in this case, I'm going to put black bars across the top and bottom. Of course, it'll look a little bit more even than that, but just to get the idea. So anyway, just first now calculating the width and height. So here's the height is going to be the window's width, this time divided by the aspect ratio, because it's smaller. I wanted to make sure I do that first and then multiply that by the Y ratio. And then this would just be the window's, wait. Yeah, this would just be the window's width, total width of the window. Right? Okay, let me just see what happens when I run this. Okay, so it looks like it's working. It's just putting the window in the top left corner, which it makes sense because I haven't told it to, yeah, I haven't told it not to do that. Yeah, so so it seems like it's working. I just now need to move the window in the proper spot. So I think I can do that here. How do we think about this here? Okay, so this is the game I want to render. This is the window. So I need to basically figure out, and assuming that these sides would be the even space, like the even distance on each side, which they're not in this diagram here, but irrelevant. I need to calculate, so this is so just this much space right here. This is all I need to calculate. So that's the whole window's width minus the inside width divided by 2. So let me see if I say viewport dot top left x is equal to the window's width, but then I need to multiply that by the x ratio because I'm dealing in virtual pixels here. So that minus viewport dot width, and then I want to multiply that whole thing by 2. Or by half. And do the same for the y position. And since this only happens, this code only runs when they're actually resizing the window. I'm going to assume that if they're busy resizing the window, they don't care about the performance of the game at that point. So I'm not really caring about optimizing any of this code. As long as it works, I'm happy. All right, so yeah, I think that's working. The only thing I want to do is change the clear color. I just want it to be black. Is there anywhere else in there? Yeah, it's working. Cool. So now I can play the game at whatever window size, but the resolution of the game stays the same. And that means by that logic, I should be able to just go full screen. And yeah, it still works just as well. And I can press B to go into the game mode, walk around, I can jump. Some pretty lousy resolution here. Let me see. Let's now pump this back up to Alright, so now it looks like it did when I first started. I can go make the screen bigger, but the resolution doesn't change. But I can now drag the screen size to be whatever I want, and oops, provided I can actually grab the corner of the screen. And yeah, it's really nice that the resolution of the game stays consistent. But now what I would like to do is be able to change the resolution of the game. So there's just the default resolution. I would like to dynamically be able to change that. I don't know if I'm going to get into that today. But let me see. So keep constant game aspect ratio. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and clear that. I'm going to say that's good. But let me see. Yeah, I'm going to add it as a feature. I want to dynamically change game resolution. Yeah, just like any game that's worth its weight, you can change the resolution of the game. You can play it as 1200 by 675 or 800 by 450, whatever you want to fit your PC specs or monitor resolution. Alright, so we got some more stuff to do. I feel like this bug fix list should be way longer than it is, but I'm sure it'll grow within time. Optimizations. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get these features cleared out first, and then except maybe these last two, and then go through and do the optimizations and cleanups. So maybe next I will I'll probably do the resolution thing, dynamic game resolution, and then probably into shadow mapping and mouse picking. Yeah, so once I have, I mean, besides the shadow mapping, that's just superficial, but I just want to get that because it just makes the game look so much better. But the mouse picking, once I get that implemented, I could do a editor, like some kind of level or game editor, and then once I have that, then I'm off and running. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna go ahead and save everything. Commit instance rendering fix and constant game aspect ratio. All right, there it goes. And while that is saving, I'm going to sign out. Thank you, everybody. I will see you next time.